Commander-in-Chief, Commander Daniel Ortega, will place now his cabinet.
Queridos hermanos,
Dear brothers,
compañeros, compañeras
comrades
del gabinete,
from the cabinet, from my government,
en nombre de las familias nicaragüenses,
on behalf of the
en nombre
Nicaraguan
del pueblo
families,
trabajador,
on behalf of the working people,
en nombre de las madres de héroes
on
y
behalf
mártires,
of the mothers of heroes and martyrs,
a ustedes, queridos hermanos,
to you all brothers, dear brothers,
les digo, juran
I tell you, do you swear
que van a prestarle todas las fuerzas,
do you swear that you will give all the
todo su
strength
corazón,
from your hearts,
todas sus energías,
all your energies,
todo el trabajo
all the work that you
para
can
cumplir
do
las funciones
to meet your functions in favor of the Nicaraguan families?
Si así lo hacen,
If you do so,
que el pueblo y las familias
then the Nicaraguan
reconozcan,
families and peoples will recognize you. If not, if they themselves will demand you,
quedan ya nombrados
then
ministros,
you
ministras,
are
funcionarios
now given your positions of ministers, officials from the government of Nicaragua.
A ver, ella es la presidenta del Consejo
She is the president of the National Council, Electoral National Council.
La presenta. Ella se llama
Her name is
Brenda Roche.
Brenda Rocha.
El día de hoy fue condecorada.
Today, she was assigned
Porque el imperio yanqui
because the U.S.
ensañándose en ella,
imperialism was already,
de una víctima
she was a victim
que le impuso a Nicaragua
also from the war imposed by the U.S. government to Nicaragua. Back then, she was a young girl. How old were you? I was 15 years old.
allá en la zona de las minas.
From the mines area.
Y la contrarrevolución
And the counter-revolution,
financiada por el gobierno yanqui
financed by the U.S. government,
lanzó un ataque más de los tantos que lanzaban
launched another of those
poblados de nuestro país intentando
invasions
tomárselos
that they were doing against our communities, trying to declare liberated territories and then say to have the chance to intervene with their troops.
¿Qué hiciste?
And then what did you do? I defended the revolution.
¿Qué hiciste cuando se dio el ataque y tenías 15 años ahí?
What did you do when you were 15? I defended the revolution, Commander.
Fue herida de muerte.
She was wounded to death. A girl, 15 years old, who lost her arm but didn't lose her soul or her consciousness. She didn't lose her spirit of struggle or her love for Nicaragua. She didn't lose that.
Cobardes.
They are weak cowards,
Los que se ensañan de esa
those
manera.
who act like that
en las familias,
against families,
no solamente en las familias nicaragüenses,
not only the Nicaraguan families,
sino en las familias
but
de
also
pueblos dignos
the families of
como el pueblo cubano,
digno
sometido a sanciones
families
brutales,
like the Cuban people who are
como el
sanctioned
hermano pueblo venezolano,
as the brother people of Venezuela from Nicolás
son
Maduro's
sometidos a
president,
sanciones
who are
brutales,
sanctioned by the U.S.,
donde
who are submitted
incluso
to brutal sanctions.
se lanzaron en un intento de asesinato
They even
de nuestro
tried
hermano
to
Nicolás Maduro.
assassinate our
Eso no lo
brother
olvidamos.
Nicolás Maduro. We do not forget that.
Ahí no habían derechos humanos algunos que se pronunciaran
There were
condenando
no
ese crimen.
human rights
Ahí
trying
no
to
había un
defend
logro
and to
condenando
condemn
ese
that
crimen.
crime,
¿Por qué? Porque son ellos mismos los criminales.
because they were the
No
same,
han
the
perdido su
criminals.
esencia colonialista,
They
su
haven't lost
esencia
the
esclavista,
essence
y no se
of
dan
being
cuenta que
imperialist,
los
and they do
pueblos
not realize
perdieron el temor,
that the
perdieron
peoples
el
are not
miedo,
afraid
y hoy
anymore.
resisten
They are
y
not
resisten con
fearless
dignidad.
anymore, and they fight today with dignity.
Y aquí están delegados,
So here we have delegates
de muchos gobiernos, ya han sido
from different
mencionados,
governments that
pueblos
were
hermanos,
mentioned before,
pueblos amigos.
from different peoples who are our friends, different
Los
countries.
gobiernos europeos o el gobierno yankee
So there is also the U.S. government or European countries that they do not send any delegates to this ceremony.
qué mayor orgullo que tener
How proud
como
to
representante
have
y
here
delegado
as a
del pueblo
representative
norteamericano y
delegates
de los pueblos europeos
and from European
a
countries
ciudadanos,
to
a
citizens
hombres y mujeres dignas
who,
que
women
luchan
and
en su
men
país,
who
que luchan en
fight
su
in their
patria
countries, in
por
their
la verdadera
homelands,
dignidad,
for the
por la
real
independencia de su
dignity, for
propio
the
país,
real independence
y
of their
por
country,
presentarle una verdadera democracia a
and
su
to have
propio
a real
país.
democracy in their
Qué mejor y
countries.
qué más digno
Those are the
representante
best
puede tener el pueblo
representative
norteamericano
of
que
the
Brian Wilson, que entregó
U.S.
su
country
vida.
government here to
Le lanzaron el tren
Wilson, who was
y todo
a victim,
y le destruyeron las piernas.
who was also
¿Y dónde estaban
who lost
los
also
derechos
who had
humanos?
also problem with her legs. Where are the Europeans? Where are the human rights?
¿Y quién condenó ese crimen?
And who condemned that crime?
¿Quién lo condenó?
Who?
Si el mismo gobierno yankee el que promovía esos crímenes.
If it was the U.S. government who was promoting those crimes.
Que le damos la bienvenida a todos
So
ustedes, queridos hermanos,
we welcome you all, brothers,
hermanos centroamericanos,
and also to a Central American brother,
presidente de la hermana República
the
de
president
Honduras,
of the Honduras Republic,
Juan Orlando Hernández,
Juan Orlando Hernández,
que ha tenido el coraje
who has been very brave
de estar presente el
to
día de
be
hoy aquí.
here present,
Porque se quiere coraje
because you need to be brave
estar presente
to be present here today,
aquí en Nicaragua.
to be here in Nicaragua.
Como se quiere coraje
The same way we need to be brave to defend the international right, Orlando, right?
cuando lo hemos hecho recientemente
So we did it recently,
y firmamos aquí
and here we signed
el tratado
the treaty
que no es más que el cumplimiento
that is
de una sentencia de la Corte Internacional de Justicia de la
that
Haya
is also the response to the sentence
con el Golfo
of the International Court of La Haya,
limitaciones marítimas
according to the limitations, to the maritime limitations, also to the
Nicaragua y El Salvador
access to the sea that we share with Nicaragua and Salvador. And the court said that we needed to do ourselves that agreement, and that's what we did. And we also invited to El Salvador, but they didn't accept it. And Salvador didn't accept either the agreement we signed before with Honduras and Nicaragua to develop the Gulf of Fonseca in peace, a free trade zone, that's really a treasure that we have here to leave poverty behind, especially the people who live near the coast. But Salvador didn't want to participate. But not the Salvadorian people. It was the authorities. They didn't want to. But here, we signed that treaty. And we already passed that treaty in the National Assembly. So we are only waiting for the National Assembly from Honduras to pass it, to give us security and stability in the region, and to open the doors so the Salvadorian government joins the talks with us, so we can explain what are the legal basis that we are taking to have this agreement. So we are also able to listen to them, to listen to their request if they have also doubts about the legal process, and if they have any contradiction about what we did. But what we have done here is to meet according to the International Court. So give us stability in the Gulf. Especially for us who are not powerful nations. Especially we countries who do not show up like being the owners of democracy in the world. The International Justice Court, when Nicaragua was in war, where more than 50,000 Nicaraguan people died when Brenda lost her arm, and many Nicaraguan brothers remained disabled after the war because they lost part of their bodies. We went to the court, to the International Justice Court, to denounce the government of the United States. And the court, as in a very unpredictable response, because no one was waiting for that response, it failed, condemning the U.S. government for the terrorist acts against the Nicaraguan people, for all the destruction it caused, that was organized by the intelligence agency in the United States, also by the training of troops by the U.S. government. So the court failed, and that response still is in force. So I tell President Biden to remember when he was the vice president of Obama's turn,
Y allí en la reunión que tuvimos de la cumbre de las Américas,
And during the summit of the Americas, in that meeting, I told him very clearly to Biden's,
que tenían que cumplir
no, to Obama's president,
con lo
that
que
they had
manda
to
la ley.
meet,
Ellos que
they
se
had to
dicen
follow the law.
respetuosos de la ley,
They who call themselves very respectful of the law.
tiene una oportunidad el presidente Biden en estos momentos
Biden has a great opportunity right now
de hacer
to do
un giro histórico valiente,
a historical turn, a very brave turn,
donde indemnice al pueblo nicaragüense, que es de justicia.
when
No
he,
estamos pidiendo limosna.
we are not begging, we are asking for justice, and he could do reparations to the Nicaraguan people.
Que cese el bloqueo en
To
contra
stop
de la hermana República de Cuba.
the blockade against our sister nation country of Cuba.
Tiene elementos y argumentos más que suficientes como para poder
He has
defender
elements and information to
el fin del
defend
bloqueo,
the lifting of the blockade,
porque el 90% y a veces más
because
de los
more than
países
90%
que
of the
estamos en
country
Naciones Unidas,
that are members of the United Nations,
todos los años estamos
every
votando
year we are voting
porque
for
se suspende
the
el
lifting
bloqueo.
of the
Y
blockade.
si se tiene algún respeto por la
And if you
democracia,
respect democracy somehow,
cuando la inmensa mayoría de los
when the
pueblos
majority
del
of the
gobierno están
countries
diciendo
of
que
the
cese
world are
el
saying
bloqueo,
to lift the blockade,
acate el gobierno
well,
yanqui, si
the
tiene
US
pica
government,
respeto
if they really
por el derecho
respect
internacional,
the international
y que cese el
right,
bloqueo
they should
en
lift the
contra de
blockade
Cuba,
against Cuba.
y que cese
And they also
el
should
bloqueo
stop the
en
blockade
contra de la hermana
against
República Bolivariana de
the
Venezuela.
the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela.
Un bloqueo brutal, criminal,
A brutal and criminal blockade against this nation,
donde los persiguen, los encausan,
they
les inventan crímenes,
create false crimes, they persecute them
porque
simply
buscan cómo garantizar los alimentos de la familia.
just because the government of Venezuela is trying to look to guarantee for the food of the Venezuelan families. That's what they were doing.
Ese hermano,
That brother,
Venezuela,
that is the delegate from Venezuela in the commission, on the dialogue commission in Mexico, Alex Saab.
¿qué es lo que él estaba haciendo?
That's what he was doing,
Simplemente venía
trying to
organizando y
organize
desarrollando
and develop
tareas no bélicas, tareas humanitarias,
different tasks, humanitarian
para
tasks,
garantizar
to
los
guarantee
paquetes de comida
to
para
guarantee
las familias
food for
venezolanas.
the Venezuelan families.
Y por eso
And that's why
lo han perseguido.
they persecuted
Por
him,
eso lo tienen ahora
and now
encarcelado.
he is in jail.